it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Joey.
Rod? Here. Nicole?
Here.
Dave? Here. Carolyn?
Here.
Deb?
Here. All right, revised Dairyland Balloon Jubilee liquor license dates. They had called me, they want to have an appreciation party for the sponsors the day before everything starts. So they'd like to have the liquor license start a day,
10th.
yeah, a day earlier. And I thought, well, for cleanup and stuff, maybe a couple of days after that. It's up to the board,
So are you thinking July 10th through like the 13th?
I would say more like the 15th. It's gonna take them a few days to get everything out of there.
It'll take them longer if you,
You let them have drinks.
yeah.
Alright.
It's only 3 days, 4 actually,
Yeah.
so.
So I move to change the Dairyland Balloon Jubilee liquor license dates to start on July 10th and end on July 15th. End of day, July 15th.
Second.
Any discussion? And a roll call on that?
Sure. Rod? Yes. Nicole?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
Carolyn?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes. Wind turbine feedback solicitation plan, John.
Yeah, so I put in the packet, just kind of like a memo format of what I came up with. Okay. We kind of did all of the heavy lifting at the last meeting, so what we'll do is just like what I'll do is make a Google form, it'll capture people's names. They'll have to enter it. I'm not gonna. They enter it when they click on the Google form, but we'll make those required fields so that specifically the street address, we can debate on whether or not we want to have the name. I think full name as a required field seems good too. Yeah, I think all of those should be required. This full name, street address,
Against?
selecting whether you are for or against wind turbines, and then offering a spot for comments.
Are we gonna put a character limit for how many comments?
How much reading do you want to do?
I don't know that I need to be reading them. I don't. Maybe just to prevent like spam. So
Yeah.
but I'll make it significant, like 10,000 or something like that. So
Okay.
so that it's not like 1 million, and then it's just like gumming up the whole thing.
So my question to the board is, why are we stretching this out this long?
Stretching it out.
Well, the timeline, according to the
Oh, I wasn't
survey.
even looking at that.
That's kind of ridiculous. That late, that long.
All I've been fielding
Oh,
calls
yeah,
and
that is a little long.
talking to people.
Yeah.
And I think from our meeting that we had at the fire station and from those who might have some comments here tonight, that we need to adopt an ordinance,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to do the right thing, the right time.
Well, I thought we were looking at the newsletter, and after the newsletter, which is normally in August,
Right?
and then go from there, which really isn't that far away.
Well,
I basically have the same concern. People basically been calling me, stopping me on the street. Some of the people have put out signs and started to get harassed, so they took them down. So now we're gonna ask for their names. And we all know that once this gets basically in John's hands, this information, it's open record. So my question is gonna be, how truthful will this actually be? Because if you don't wanna get harassed, you're not gonna put your name on it and do this, I don't believe. I mean, I believe that there's some people that will do it, that don't care if they get harassed, but there is other people that don't wanna be harassed. And so I don't know how truthful this actual inquiry is gonna be,
Well,
if it's
we
gonna be
don't
worth
have
the
to do
delay.
it. We don't have to do anything.
Well, I think,
I don't know. I think that this whole timeline thing is just
A little long.
blows it out of the water. I mean, it's too long.
What kind of timeline do you?
Well, I think that, well, first of all, at our annual meeting, it was voted on, that was in April, so we've been talking about this since April. So we need to figure out a time to move it along more quickly. So I think that I'm no later than August,
That would be my suggestion.
yeah,
So.
in August. So-
Have we targeted the July 12th meeting for
That's for our, kind of our open house after
open
our,
house?
after
And
our board meeting.
so Farmland First is gonna be there, correct?
Trim, yeah,
And.
Alliant.
Alliant,
and Shad from the county.
okay.
So if anybody has any questions, they can ask all three of them. They should be able to get some answers. That's what they wanted, so.
Yeah,
So what if we set it at July 31st? Because by that way, people will be able to mail in if they want to do the mail-in option. And we forego the newsletter.
That would save us some
money.
money.
Mhm. What would save us the money, sending out the newsletter?
Well, the newsletter's gonna go out, but that,
Or the survey.
if
Yeah.
we do
Because we
Unless
can
we
have the
do it
paper
early.
copies there, or
early
people can
August, we
fill it
could
out
do it
there.
early August.
For what, the newsletter?
Yes,
Yeah, we can do that.
move the date up for the,
Newsletter.
so all of you beware, I want it by the middle of July.
Okay.
So the 1st of August, that we can,
Get it mailed out?
get it mailed out.
Okay, but
And then late August, well, or maybe even mid-August by that point, have another meeting.
I still think we should have everything done by the end of July. Everybody's gonna know about it.
Mhm.
I don't think
Well-
we need to wait for the newsletter.
Okay,
That's my 2 cents.
so what about the letter then?
Don't bother
I think
with
there's
it.
been so many,
Well, you've got those that want it, those that don't want it. That's where we're at, you know, because I get a lot from those that want it too.
yeah, well,
I've spoken to several, I don't know.
We're in such a
Yeah,
bad
wow.
situation.
okay, so.
Well, I think we got an interest here tonight,
Yeah,
so I think we have to make it very clear to those that are here that you talk to your ones that are for it, ones that are against it, and let them know that the 12th of July
mhm.
will be the,
Question and answer day.
you know,
Mhm.
So make a list of your questions that you have, so you can ask Alliant or Trend or the county and see where they're all standing. So,
Well, how about I make a motion to adopt the wind licensing ordinance, decision,
to be put on the agenda.
to be put on the agenda for a special meeting? I don't think,
I don't, we
we don't
can't do
want.
that for a special meeting, that has to be a regular meeting.
Can we do it for August?
I was gonna say August would work better, because John won't be here in July.
Yeah, we could do it for, because we'll have the results by the end of July. We'll
Yeah,
have everything that we need by August. Because then once we have the ordinance, we have to go through the first reading, second reading. We
mhm.
have to go through all
Yeah,
that
but you
process
can do
too.
those quickly.
We're doing this
So-
on Saturday?
What on Saturday?
You said July 12th. That's
Our
a
next
Saturday.
meeting,
Okay, maybe it's the 14th, sorry,
Okay, well,
whatever.
I don't wanna be on a
it's our
Saturday.
next board meeting,
Okay,
second Monday of the month.
13th, maybe it is. Whatever it is.
Okay, because we have it
It's the 14th.
the 14th.
14th.
So,
yeah.
okay, so the motion is to,
Get it on the agenda for
get it on the
August.
agenda to, discuss, adopt the wind licensing ordinance. So I'm
Which
not
one
gonna
are we
go.
adopting?
Hmm?
We gotta go through all this to see if there's changes you wanna make first.
Well, then,
Let me preface that by asking what you met with the town chair and Dave Greenville
Yeah,
in
and we're-
Cleveland, and so
We're going
maybe you
to,
should explain to the rest of the board
we're
what.
going to get as many townships as we can. There's 39 townships in Marathon County. There's a Wisconsin Towns Association meeting the end of July. I believe is when it is, and that's when we're gonna start recruiting them to see how many we can get involved. So that's where we're at with that, so, and there is definitely interest, so. I had a few phone calls for a couple chairmen this last week, so.
Okay, so,
So you met with them?
I met with, Town of Day, just 5 of them, well, 4, because one couldn't show.
Okay.
But for 4 of them, but then there's other ones that have been calling, because it's getting out, you know. And I had, one from Town of Wee, I think
That's
he
what
called.
you told me.
He had called, so, and there's 3 townships over there that are getting together, so I think it'll, once we get the eastern and western together at Wisconsin Towns Association, I'm hoping we'll have a good, feedback on it, and then try to get everybody together and go from there.
John, would you look up, if, Towns Association meeting at, Marathon City is either the 24th or the 31st, it's usually on a Thursday, isn't it?
Yeah, as a rule, I think they had the last one on a Wednesday.
Yeah,
Well, then
That's
if you want-
usually on Thursday.
That was just different.
Different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, that was because of the Packer draft.
yeah.
yeah.
That's right.
Should be the last Thursday of the month, I think.
Have you had any feelings from the rest of the chairs that you met with? What, any feeling on, or feedback from any of townships other than 4 or 5 here? In this
Not-
corner?
Very low, but we haven't contacted them all yet either, so, we're gonna have a flyer when we go to Wisconsin Towns Association and pass that out to all the towns and go from there. But what they're thinking about is, and we've already got that out there, is do we all want the same ordinance? Or do you want each one a little bit different? You know, each township add in their own little perk or whatever. Because otherwise, is it a possibility that when they decide to, we end up in court, are they gonna do all the townships at one time? You know, or all 5, or do we force them to actually do each one individually?
But if you do it individually, then each township will probably have to end up paying their own bill.
Well, of course, they're going to anyway.
But
If you go together, then you can split the cost of the same.
Right.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. You're all, that's quite a bit.
So I mean,
A lot more people makes more impact if
Our
you're all on the
numbers.
same page. I
so
don't know.
that's,
So-
that's what we're gonna find out, if that's what they wanna do, is all go with the same one, or if they want to,
Well, Brightons has already been in front of a judge last or not.
yeah, but that one on case law. So,
That's what?
one on case law.
Which means,
It didn't, the ordinance didn't really have much to do with it, they picked, what was it, 5 deals out of that ordinance, that was it? That, yeah, so with, the ordinance wasn't it. So,
And this
Well,
is
but
their
there were,
ordinance.
now,
Yeah.
didn't Brighton have a second? Heidi, do you know?
a second
They
one,
had an original and then yes, they had a second one that they
updated.
adopted, revised. And based off of what Marty had said, he specified it all out, the reasons of.
Well, what
why
attorney
this
did they have over at Brighton, do you remember?
was- I have his name with me.
wasn't the Anna Leclerc?
No,
No, this
No.
is a different one.
This is
Right,
a different
yeah.
one, yeah.
yeah, he's got a different name, and it's like at the top of my, I can't recall.
That was also a different size wind farm.
Right, those were only 400 or 450, something like that, where the ones they wanna put here are 650 feet tall.
No, not the height,
Hmm.
the size.
Oh,
This is
yeah,
100 megawatt.
it was a different company completely,
Yeah, different company, but
Yeah.
it was a different megawatt also.
yeah.
Just
So-
for the edification of those here, I asked the question at the last Towns Association meeting. I addressed the county administrator, and I said, Clark County adopted an ordinance against wind turbines and solar and battery storage facilities. And he threw his hands up, he said, well, my gosh, we don't want to get in a lawsuit. But if you look at the contract, the benefactor out of this is gonna be the county. It isn't gonna be the townships. They're gonna get more than what the townships have to divide up. Carolyn and I talked to the county board chair afterwards, and he talked around it. So, if you
Well, I'll tell you what, you start looking at this, where you got 39 townships in Marathon County, and there are different companies going after all these areas. And you look at what the county's gonna end up with in the end.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, the money is.
That's
They're
where,
looking at the-
that's where it is.
They're looking at the dollars and cents.
Mhm.
So we're gonna have the results end of July from the
Mhm.
feedback, and then August, we're going to talk and discuss about adopting an ordinance, but
Yeah.
we need to have lawyer feedback, so are we gonna be reviewing, bring our own input back on
Well,
August, and then take it to some lawyer, I don't know what lawyer?
Well, maybe even,
Well, we can decide in August too,
Okay.
how we're gonna do
I
that.
just wanna make sure since there's so many people here
logistics
that-
of it also, because we want it done,
Yeah,
Mhm.
so.
I mean, we got a boilerplate here, and basically, all the legal work is done. We just have to find out.
Well, I had like asked Lee for, something for an ordinance,
You
and
know,
what he sent me was totally pathetic.
I understand
It
that.
was
That's
3
why I'm
pages.
asking.
That's why we are, the one we have, that ordinance from Brighton is, well, how
But
many?
do we need to,
45 pages.
yeah, 47. Do we need to, and this probably wait till August, do we need to incorporate the Balloon Fest deal?
No.
no, I think that can be,
Is it totally separate?
Yes.
Okay.
The biggest reason I think we put that separate, one is it's one individual. The other thing is he signed a 3-year contract with the balloons,
Mhm.
and he knows that the windmills won't come till 5. So I'm thinking that he knows exactly what he's doing,
Oh, I
and
thought-
this is
I
what he
do.
wants.
Yeah.
So why, as a board, should we hold the rest of the township at hostage for an ordinance over something that's probably dead?
Well, I'm
in the water
talking
anyway?
about for Marathon County as a whole, for each and every township.
I think we should keep them separate, because we'll have winter to be able to work on
Yeah,
the balloon
The
fest, because
balloon,
nobody's
yeah.
gonna be able
Yeah.
to do it in the winter.
because the one that I read from Iowa, they actually made them dismantle those wind turbines so they could have Balloon Fest. And you look in Marathon County, they've had it in Marathon County for how many years? It was always up by Red Mountain, it just happens to be down here this time. So, and he told me, once they put them in, they will not be able to have Balloon Fest around here.
And that's the reason for signing a
That's,
3-year
yes.
contract.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And didn't he, the balloon guy, say that he's kind of an offshoot of the one at Wausau, Town of Maine?
Yeah, I believe they were the ones that took care of that one,
And then there was some
falling out
falling
somehow,
out, so
yeah.
he had this one down here, and I think there's still, I haven't seen anything in print, but they may be having about the same time, so
Yeah, and I talked to, I went to a meeting with, and Trin was there, and I had asked her, I said, what I'd like to do is find somebody that has property right in the middle of their path that would like to have Balloon Fest for 5 years.
So our timeline here now is,
August, we're looking at starting,
I think we should bring, to our next meeting in July, I think we should bring some stuff back and discuss it again a little bit. I don't think we should wait for August.
sounds good.
well, bring
Well,
I
it
mean, we don't have to solidify anything, but I think we need to have some
because
discussion.
they're gonna be, you're gonna have your,
Yeah,
you got all those other people here.
So did you get a second?
No.
I'll second that for discussion.
Yeah, okay.
I got a question, Madam Chair,
Yeah.
with regards to the post the survey on Facebook.
Mhm.
If you want it online, I'm so over Facebook that, sick of it, as an early adopter now. Could you also put it on our regular website and or email it out to the people who you email the, the meeting notices and stuff to?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, so how are you getting to your attendance? Because it sounded like you guys kind of changed on that. You're getting it through Facebook, now your website, is that true?
We get, they get both, they get.
Okay, additionally, are you gonna send anything in the mail?
I thought we just decided decided no.
I thought we decided no.
That we weren't going to do that, so.
What are you gonna do with the signatures? It's the purpose for it? Is
Well,
it
if we're not gonna do it, it doesn't matter, okay? We decided on having the meeting in July, so anybody that has questions, we'll kind of get a feel for the feedback that day,
Okay.
so. Should be
And we can
covered.
have paper forms there if they wanna fill out paper
Yeah.
forms there.
We can do that, so.
Yes or no?
Well,
That's what
but
you're
we,
saying.
right now, we have a motion on the table,
Yep.
so we need to take care of that first.
Just get the date right.
Yes, I've got the motion on the table to put the wind ordinance, onto the August agenda.
Okay. And we got a second.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, so back to sending out any paperwork. We're not going to, evidently. And we'll have, you can print something out that we can have at July's meeting if they want to fill something out.
We could put a paper
Make
copy
sure
on
the
our
citizens
website
of the
too.
township,
Pardon?
they'll have to sign in, same as you do when you go to the annual meeting.
It's an open house, so actually, no, you don't. You don't have to sign in for that, for an open house.
For an open house,
You
but
do
you are
not
giving
have
your
to.
opinion on
You
this.
can, but you do not have to. It's gonna be questions and answers. We're not making any decisions.
No, that's, has nothing to do. But if you're going to get feedback,
Mm-hmm,
it should be from the citizens of the township.
true,
You're right.
yeah. So they should be a resident in order to fill out paperwork, yeah. And we can specify that at the meeting, so.
And we can also put a PDF online, so if people wanna print it off and mail it, they can
Mhm.
do it that way too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but specify must be a resident of town.
And they have to put their first name, address, just like what we do on the Google form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll probably just print off the Google form,
Yeah,
and then
Yeah.
everyone's working with the same thing.
Yeah,
all right, sounds good. So we're all good on that?
yes.
All good?
But I
Okay.
didn't mention something about having something in the July meeting, or you're just gonna just do the open house
We're
after?
gonna do the
We'll get
open
to
house
information
afterwards, after our July meeting. Is when open house will be.
there. Right, but
Okay.
as far as the ordinances and what you're.
But that's not gonna be till August. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay. Schedule COM2 e-waste recycling event, John.
Yeah, so, I've got an email, the last email that I got from, COM2. They've assured me that there's no cost to the town whatsoever. There's no cost for the personnel, no cost for recycling, no cost for boxes, nothing. They're asking for 1 or 2 volunteers to work the day. And they said they have availabilities on all Saturdays in August and September except for the 27th.
Just for edification of those that are in attendance, would you want to explain a little bit more about that?
Sure. So, we were solicited by COM2 Recycling, to ask if we wanted to be an e-waste, recycling, collection site. We were kind of intrigued by that, so we decided, or we thought maybe we'd have a one-day event to see how that goes, and then if that goes well, potentially being an ongoing collection site, so people can bring their CRT, their big tube TVs to recycle, old laptops, old computer monitors, computers, printers, stuff like that. I'll come up, they have a list of stuff that's not allowed. I think dehumidifiers was on it, or humidifiers, something like that. So some generic things are not allowed. But this is more for stuff that you can't really like readily get rid of. Like if you have a big tube TV, you have to take it up to whatever, probably Best Buy or something. So this way residents can just drop it off at this collection site. So hopefully we can come up with a Saturday during August or September. It says that they like to do it for like 3 or 4 hours.
So could we put that in the newsletter
I think we should.
Pick a date.
so that everybody gets it?
I picked September 20th.
Why don't we-
September 20th?
Yeah. I think that's a Saturday, based off the 27th. You may wanna check the calendar, but
September 27th.
they
20.
can't,
Except for the
yeah, they can't do
27th.
the 27th.
Can't do
So if we do the weekend before, and that way it'll be in the newsletter, everybody will see, oh, this is what it includes.
September 20th.
Yeah, Saturday. That's what I move to have, COM2 waste recycling event on September 20th, 2025.
Second.
Any discussion?
If that date does not come back, that it works for them for whatever reason, then
They'll
we'll
let
have
us
to.
know.
Okay. Well, I mean, so you want me to just pick another Saturday in September
Just in
that's
case.
not Fall Fest? Like, I'll just work backwards from the 20th and
To
then
the 13th,
13th.
Yeah,
okay?
And then if it's not available on the 13th, I think the weekend before that is probably Fall Fest.
It
I
is.
guess,
Yeah.
so-
Yes,
Okay,
13th or 20th.
okay.
So we have a motion on the table. Nicole, you wanna revise that a little bit?
oh, sure. So I move to have the COM2 e-waste recycling event on September 20th, 2025. If that does not work, then we will have September 13th, 2025. And this will be in the newsletter.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. All right, innovation planning grant contracts.
Yeah, so I had sent those out to you, the proposals for those three, innovation planning grants. My feeling was, I felt pretty strongly that, it was the strategic consulting, strategic management, yeah. I think that they would be ideal, they're my top choice for sure for EMS and fire. And then McMahon was the only one that responded for the administrative, the clerk and treasurer position, so my feeling would be to go with them. So what I would, what I'm kind of seeking is like a motion to award the administrative innovation planning grant to McMahon. Let me tell you what the maximum is. They've put a range, so I would reach back out to them and say, here's what we would like to, I would try and negotiate with them, so I'm hoping that the motion can be made in a way that there's a limit to the contract with them.
What do they got in there now, Johnny?
They put 40 to 43. I'm looking to see what the grant award was for that one. I think it was 43.
My question is, what's the end game here?
More efficient service delivery and saving money for the taxpayers.
What they'll do is they'll come back with a suggestion. And if we decide to go with their suggestion, then there's also grant money available after that. If we don't, well, then it's there. That's what it is.
So we don't have to accept any
No.
suggestions that they bring forward to us.
Right.
So we have already accepted some money.
No,
They've
No,
sent
it's
money,
already in the
yes.
bank.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's in the
And
bank
in the
already.
bank, yes, it is.
And all they're gonna do is evaluate. That's it.
Well, but, you know, if you read, the purpose of this whole thing in the very first, the Innovation Grant Program is designed to provide funds to counties, municipalities, and tribes that implement an innovation plan to completely transfer one or more of the allowable services duties to another county, municipality, tribe, nonprofit organization, or private entity. So, it said on there, I spoke to the guy from the Department of Revenue, because I'm not to me, this grant, we've now been approved and it's in the bank. And I don't remember, I don't know that we've ever talked about transferring any
Well, I
of this
thought we could
stuff.
also bring in other departments if that's what they're.
That's not what it says. That's not what this
Well, I don't know.
If we
says.
were gonna bring in, then we should have talked, and this should have been applied for with the other municipalities that we were gonna bring it in with.
We voted on it to do this.
Who talked to other municipalities?
Nobody.
Nobody.
That's gonna happen. I expect that the consultants will do that.
No.
That's why we're paying them $40,000, is to spend time to talk to McMillan and then talk to other
Whoever.
municipalities, maybe the county, you know, I mean, there's nothing to preclude, so this innovation planning grant, you're right, it says to transfer services to a different thing. For all we know, the consultants might say, look, what you should do is start your own fire department. The Sons of McMillan Fire Department, and completely disassociate from the town, and then charge all the other municipalities a service fee or something, $100,000. So everyone's paying $100,000, all the towns are paying $100,000 into the Sons of McMillan Fire Department and EMS. Okay, let's say that that's the thing. So they say, you guys should start your own entity, charge all the towns, everyone's saving money. This is our plan. And then you guys can say, I don't like that plan, let's just keep what we have. Or they might say,
When you say we're spending $40,000, it isn't coming from our taxpayers.
No.
No, we already got-
it's coming from the state of Wisconsin
It's
taxpayers,
already been
so,
And you
deposited.
want to,
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those
The
that
state
are out
was-
there know
Yeah.
where the money's coming from.
I don't know, the last time I coughed up quite a check to the state for the taxes, so
Right.
I think I paid a little bit of that.
Well, we all did.
yeah, yes.
Similarly, they might say, look, you know, the clerk and the treasurer, you would be wise to just find a full-time person and that person be the clerk for 3 towns. Or share the clerk with the village of Spencer. And then they say, and then you'll save, you know, $15,000. And you'll say, well, that sounds pretty good. I mean, see you later, John. And then I'll say, all right.
But I'm back to the thing is, if that's what we were wanting to, and that's what we want to think we want to do here, we should have contacted these other municipalities and say, this is what we're looking to do. This is,
And maybe they applied for the grants also. I don't know.
I don't know that they have to, so, I don't know that, I have to imagine that, let's say that they say, you guys should absorb fire protection for a bunch of towns. Or EMS, you guys should start an EMS and absorb all the other towns that are surrounding you, that are contracting with Marshfield currently. You contract, have them contract with McMillan, and then you charge them, let's say that they're paying $90,000 annually now, and you charge them $80,000, so it's saving $10,000 a year. And then we go with the innovation grant, and then I imagine that all of the towns probably share some of the revenue. I can't imagine that they're gonna be like, oh, well, McMillan, since you didn't offload any of your services, you're not getting the grant. I don't know, but, my idea was to have the consultants talk to the other people versus
Anybody else, basically.
McMillan
See
people
what they come
talk
up
to
with.
them.
All it is see how they see it. Or look at it, I should say.
So we don't know how many others have applied
Exactly.
throughout the state of Wisconsin for whatever there is in the pot for that.
No, I can see, they have a list of
Okay.
who's applied for it. I haven't looked recently.
So
I didn't
does-
see any neighbors the last time that I looked.
So does that just create a pot of money for a consulting firm to set up?
Yes,
Yeah.
So it's kind
it's
of
a consult,
self-funded state thing?
I would say, yeah, I would say it's a
Probably our tax
consulting,
dollars could go to maybe something else, I don't know.
yeah.
Roads, whatever.
Put it on roads.
Yeah. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah. Well, you have to take it up with the state on how they're spending the
Yeah.
money. So,
So anyways, my hope would to be to get a motion to accept the McMahon proposal up to $43,000, which is the entire grant for the administrative portion. And then also to accept the strategic management proposals for fire and EMS. Let's see, for no more than $90,000.
So do you want two different motions?
No, they can be all in one. We received $48,000 for the EMS and $48,000 for the fire protection. So that, you know, and I wanna put the caps on there because I'm gonna be trying to negotiate a lower rate for these people. Because like you said, McMahon saw exactly what I asked for. I asked for $43,000. They said, oh, we can do that, $43,000, sir. So I'm gonna say, look, you know, my intention was to have some money for administrative stuff here to pay for, you know, if they have to interview fire department personnel and EMS personnel and stuff like that, they should be compensated. That's not, you know, that's not
Exactly.
volunteer time. It should
Yeah.
be, you know. So I think that they're going to be, you know, coming up with like a focus group at the fire department. And, you know, they should be able to realize some synergies on the EMS and fire department together. Because when you read through the proposals, they wrote one and then copy and pasted it
the
and
other
then just
one,
changed a little. They said, oh, this one's for fire, so let's change EMS and put in fire, and let's like look for ambulance and put in fire trucks or whatever, you know. So they realized synergies already. So they're gonna, when they come out here, McMahon's gonna have to come out here and learn about the town and all this stuff. Strategic management's gonna have to do that for the fire department and EMS, but they can do it simultaneously. So they should be able to reduce the cost by some amount of money, which would then free up more money to, you know,
put on
for
roads.
focus. I don't know about all that, but focus groups at the fire department, stuff like that.
Mhm.
And then if there's money left over, like we talked about at the last meeting, if there's money left over, we'll return it to the state because that's what we should be doing. We should be using this taxpayer money ethically, efficiently, and then if there's leftovers, return it to the state for better taxpayer use.
What is,
Who's gonna do the work on this?
I'm taking the lead on it. I'm gonna be leading the charge, contacting the consultants. I've already been in contact with both of them just to facilitate getting the grant awarded in the first place. Department of Revenue wasn't satisfied with my price, my estimated cost. They wanted some actual quotes from actual people. So I got the quotes from actual people. I think I told you before, like, this all happened after the grant deadline. Like, they were practically bending over backwards to give us
give
this
money
money.
away?
So I think that they want to show that this money is getting out into the communities, doing work, and hopefully, on their part, they're hoping to rack up some wins, and they'll say, here's the efficiencies that were gained with this innovation planning grant project.
And maybe there's monies that might become available for extra equipment or.
Now, we don't need to concern ourselves with whether or not the state project is looking good. We're looking at this is the McMillan thing. We got the grant, we wanna find out what's best for McMillan residents.
Mhm.
And these consultants are gonna tell us. If you look at the strategic management profiles of the people, the one guy is like, has been fire chief for like 100 years. He's served on like 50 different fire departments. He's like whatever the top tier EMS person, he's just like super duper overly qualified. He's on all of these different state boards and stuff like this. So like, it sounds like that guy's gonna be directly involved in this thing. So he knows exactly what the best course of action is for all of this stuff. He'll be able to look at the data, and he's been doing this for a long time, so he'll look at the data and say, look, this is what we should do, and then we have it from a independent professional, what we should do, what their opinion we should do, and then we just take it from there. If we say, I don't like it, there's not enough savings, whatever, but maybe they say, I don't know what they're gonna say.
We're grasping at straws when we're guessing.
But I think it's worth,
A lot of unanswered questions.
yeah, and I think it's worth it to utilize this money that was granted to us already and get those questions answered and see what they have to, see what an expert has to say.
What's the deadline?
No deadline,
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay, it says on here, November. November.
To apply or to?
Yeah, it says,
Yeah, that's right.
signature date on or after November 13, 2024. That was to when you, so this, when you signed all of these off before this, in November of 24.
No, I submitted ours in April of '25.
Yeah,
They've had 4 rounds of these, I think.
yeah.
Oh.
I haven't looked to see if there's another round open. Like I said, they were bending over backwards to give money out. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're just continuing to come up with new innovation planning grant cycles, when in my opinion, they should be starting to work on the innovation grant, because that's supposed to open in like July. But from my understanding, there's been no progress there. So I don't think that, even if we got the results from the consultants tomorrow, we wouldn't be able to apply for the innovation grant because there's no documents to apply for it.
Right.
Which is the next step in this, if we choose to move forward with something, like Deb was saying, to get money from the state, like a reward for saving money, the innovation grant is the next step, but they haven't built that next step yet, so when that's gonna happen, I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, they've been saying it's gonna be happening, mid to late summer. July was the speculative date.
And then
All I
maybe
wanna
like,
make sure is we aren't locked into something.
no, we're not.
I'm 100% certain, Jim Peely from Department of Revenue has called me twice. He told me that we don't have to get any prior approval from the state, we don't have to submit a final report. Like when we get the report, we don't have to send it to them. There's very little accountability in this grant.
Not a lot of
As somebody that
strings
gets,
attached.
I work with grant funds all the time, this is the least accountability that I've ever seen.
That concerns me.
Yeah, it's disappointing. As a
Yeah,
town
that it
taxpayer,
is.
I'm disappointed. the way
Well,
this
that
is.
comes in if you move on to taking the grant, the innovation grant. It's 3 steps, so I spoke to Jim Faley. And then he said at the end, it will all be audited.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
So if you take,
Yes.
if you move on from after the first step, where they do the survey basically,
and if you say no, then it's done.
right? But if you decide to go in with the grant, you know, whatever suggestions they come up with, that's when they start doing the, checking audits
And
and
it goes
everything
to
else.
3 steps
Yeah,
after that.
I'm glad
So
you're
we-
here.
And then it would be fully audited.
Okay, good.
well then there is some accountability anyway.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So we got a motion on the table, am I correct, or didn't we make that
We
motion yet?
didn't make one.
So we need a motion.
I think John kind of phrased it.
Do you want me
The
to do it?
McMahon proposal,
That's what he wants.
Yeah.
do you always get what you want?
Good comment.
But that's the one you're most comfortable with, because you've been working.
McMahon is the only one that wrote a proposal for the administrative one. Strategic management is who I really strongly prefer versus McMahon. McMahon is, I feel like they're more for urban areas,
Okay.
cities, stuff like
So
that.
which one do you want, John? Or there's 2?
I would like to award McMahon for the administrative grant up to $40,000, and then award fire and EMS to strategic management up to $90,000.
Second?
I'll second for discussion.
Oh, I seconded it.
Oh,
That was me.
She
You
seconded
can't
it
make the
all.
motion.
Fine. What John said.
Yeah, I so move, right?
So I moved what John
Yes.
said. So
And
then,
Rod seconded it.
yeah.
So what's the discussion?
I guess my feeling on this is I still feel that not enough homework was done prior to filling out for this grant. It seems to be a very loose running grant, waste state tax dollars. I mean, that's what I see out of this. We've got basically 3 municipalities, you can call it, say 4 if you want to count Marshfield, that are players that could possibly, we could contract out to. I don't see that kind of money needing to be spent to get a expert from another state, right? They're not in the state, right?
No, both of these are from the state of Wisconsin.
So they're not, right?
Yeah, both of them are.
They
Yeah,
are, I
okay.
said.
So at least the money, I guess, at least the tax dollars are going back into the state, but I still feel that this could be done internally to have better working relations with our surrounding communities than kind of turning these animals a little bit loose. I've been involved in the city
Animals?
with grants, yes, with grants, and with this type of thing where you bring people in, and what they basically do is they research the person that is telling them the information. What do you want to see out of this? And that's what they give you.
And that would be bad how?
Because if we're gonna tell them what we want, why spend the $40,000 on them and we just hash out what we want? That's what I'm saying. Why spend the money on researching it if you already know what you want the outcome to be?
So then don't tell them what you want. Just say, you tell me. I don't have an interest.
So they're gonna say, well, so what is the purpose of doing this?
Right, and,
They already know
and
the
you tell
purpose.
them, I got this innovation planning grant, you go ahead and read the grant, and then proceed.
But I was listening to you down there, and the biggest thing with fire and EMS is you wanna save money. You didn't say anything about better services, you didn't say anything about that, it was save money. So if you're gonna sit there with those guys and say, I wanna save money, that's exactly what they're gonna give you. They're gonna give you save money.
Perhaps I misspoke. The goal is not to save money solely. It's to be a better use of taxpayer funds. So if that is to have a fire department, have a larger fire department, have a smaller fire department, whichever of those, or nothing at all, I don't know. I'm not a consultant. I'm saying that the purpose of this grant is to make better use of taxpayer funds. These consultants are there to, they're the experts in how, because I'm not the expert. And, it's the board's responsibility to be good stewards of the taxpayer funds. And so, if they say, look, we think that like I said, if they say, oh, you should totally fire John and farm it out to the city of Marshfield, they'll do it for $5,000. You should do that. You should fire John as soon as you can and farm it out to the city of Marshfield. That's the best use of taxpayer funds. As long as there's no reduction in services, there's a lot of stuff to balance. There's not gonna be, oh, sure, here's another John, and he's $5,000 a year. There's not gonna be that. There's gonna have to be a thing where you say, okay, we can save some money, we might have to, change our meeting dates from Mondays to Tuesdays. Can we live with that for saving a bunch of money? If so, then yes, good. If not, then you have to say, okay, changing the meeting date it's non-negotiable for me. That's a hard stop. So I don't care if it costs $1 million. We have to have meetings on Mondays. So you have to balance it, but it's not going to be just oh, this is cheaper, let's do it.
No, that's not what.
Because
And I believe they'd have a binder saying, this is what we found, this is our recommendation, here's why.
I would believe so too, yeah.
Yeah.
These are professional,
Yeah.
this is their entire job, is to do this kind of consulting for municipalities. My opinion, strategic management focuses more on smaller communities. McMahon focuses on larger, which is why, and strategic management is solely focused on fire and EMS, versus strategic management is focused on this wide array of municipal services. So if you want other consulting, like I said, if the innovation planning grant is still available, there might be other things that you say, oh, let's do this. It was like courts and like parks and recreation and stuff. The goal being saving money. So like, we don't spend entirely that much money on parks and recreation, so I don't know if there's enough savings
Not enough
to
savings on that one to make
do
it
a
worthwhile.
consulting thing on it, but, you know, maybe they'll find some efficiencies, maybe not, I don't know. But the only way we find out is if we have them do it.
Yeah, just as long as we can turn it down if we don't like it.
Well, yeah, and we can. So we have a motion on the table, correct, with a second?
Yep.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Abstentions? Motion carried. All right, now, we will be going into closed session regarding personnel matters to interview candidates for fire chief. We're gonna start with that one. So are we going to the back room or is everybody going outside?
Outside.
All right, guys, head out.
Thanks for coming.
It's nice to see all new faces. See ya.
See you in July.
Well, and the whole session, when we come
Your
back,
first-
we'll do that.
Tonight and look at culverts.
Okay.
I gave them a list of the ones, because I think there's one, I don't have that list in front of me. The two on Roman need to be replaced. One is concrete and one is galvanized, okay? The one galvanized is shot on the bottom and the concrete one is, I think Kurt said was split or
Separated.
Separated.
That's what happens with it.
So I told Junior that those two need to be replaced. I told them to look at the one on your road and see if that needs to be adjusted or whatever, yeah. And I thought there was one, there's one or two up this way and then one over on Lumen, I think. There's one on Penny, right where Penny and Lumen meet, okay, that one is crushed.
Cross culvert, probably.
Yeah, it's crushed completely. So I talked to Kurt about that, and he says, it hasn't been in use for a long time, you can tell looking at it, because it got smashed down. He said we should dig that one out, and then put one across Lumen, right on that corner
East and
there.
west.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he said that would probably work better, so Junior's supposed to be out here tonight. I talked to farmers today, and they would like to start July 7th.
Oh,
And what they wanna do is basically get the base course and everything, and then leave them sit for a bit, so. And I said, well, we got culverts to do, and I don't know when to do them, and I want them to sit for a bit,
yeah,
and,
yeah.
okay. So, but I got the list, and I'll make copies. I
Who's
got,
gonna do the culverts?
Junior, Boogar,
Did you hear anything from Tom?
no. But I don't know why, I got 3-4 calls into him, and he has not called me back, so I don't know why. Tom Hardinger, he's the engineer. But anyway, we need to reconvene.
Yes. Okay.
We interviewed Randy Forrest for highway position, and we also are looking at possibly one more after that, so there might be another interview for a highway, permanent highway. And we also interviewed Kevin Schmidtke for, what do you call him, interim fire chief? And we had already interviewed you, Lori, so the board has made a decision, so we need a motion.
I move to appoint Kevin Schmidtke as interim McMillan Fire Chief with a review in 90 days.
Can we get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
As interim fire chief with a review in 90 days.
Yes.
Correct.
Nicole,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
I'm
What
sorry?
was that?
Yes.
That's not what I thought you said.
I don't know what you said, but I didn't hear that either.
Yeah,
It was like a
okay.
yes.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Carolyn,
Yes.
Deb,
yes. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We are done.
Dorothy, that whole situation with the parcel combination is odd. They said that they want us to sign it and then send it off to the county. So let's put it onto your agenda. I'll send you whatever information I have tonight.
Oh,
If it's, at least if it's on your agenda, then you can act on it. If you don't need to, then you can just like
Yeah, you can just bypass
ignore
it.
it.
But
But that way it's on there in case there is some action that needs to be. I've never seen it like this before, this cadence. So what I'd like to do is have you guys evaluate it. My current plan is you guys evaluate it, town board evaluate it in August or July, and then they can
You know what?
send it back
Well,
up to the
well,
county.
we'll do it, yes, it's
I
fine.
should
Yeah,
have said
okay.
I instead of
Okay,
yes.
as long
I'm
as
so
we have
sorry, because
something
as a school board,
in
we
our
have to say
files
yes
so
or
that we
no.
know what we're talking about.
Yep, I'll put it in there this weekend, and I'll send you whatever I have digitally.
Yeah, because
Tomorrow.
we got to say, if our meeting evidently is going to be in the other room.
No, our meeting, the board meeting is on Tuesday.
Oh,
The
okay,
24th.
different night.
the 24th, that's the same night. And so-
Oh, you guys have meeting